Okay. Hey, there we are, everybody. Hello, welcome to day one of Dreamforce. I hope that was a great keynote for you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. A quick housekeeping note for everybody standing in the back. Not that I don't want you to listen to me right now. This session is being repeated on Thursday, though. So if y'all start getting into fire lane issues where we're breaking the law, feel free to see me on Thursday as well. Today we're going to be starting to talk about understanding AI for Salesforce admins. And you're going to see a lot of this at Dreamforce. Please make your purchasing decisions based on current features and not any forward-looking statements that I might make. Now, I also I like to use this slide to say things like, this is not going to be a session that's going to go into a deep dive on products themselves. We have a lot of great activations here on Moscone West. We've got Einstein over here. We've got Developer AI Arcade over there. We've got an activation on Moscone South. My goal here today is to help ground you into an understanding of how AI works, how it's different from technology that we've been using before, and how it can impact your role as an admin. Let me introduce myself. My name is Joshua Burke. I have been in the developer and admin ecosystem for about 15 plus years. Been at Salesforce for a little over 10 years. In that time, I've worn a few hats. I've been a developer evangelist. I'm actually on the admin relations team right now. I am your godfather of Trailhead. I wrote the original prototype of that. I have the best cat stories on the planet, and I'm also a mental health advocate. So, let's talk about how this technology is different, because we've been using AI for some time. We have been using, every time you do a Google search, you're effectively doing a form of predictive AI. We have AI models which do things like chatbots that are trying to deliver some kind of an answer or solution to you. However, the big difference is all of those kinds of AIs are using a standard relational database. The answer that they are going to try to give you or predict for you exists somewhere already in a row and a column. When it comes to a large language model or a foundation model or a neural network, effectively all names for the same thing, they're using a vast system of data points interconnected with each other to try to take the prompt that you're giving it and then generate brand new content based on your expectations. So when you go to an image generator and you put into a prompt, it is randomly generating brand new content. When you give it a question or you're having a conversation with it, the answer you might get from that could be completely different every time you ask it, because it is building it out of pure cloth. And it's doing that based on the data that it is residing on. And so if you have data which is going to be large and it's going to be accurate and it knows how to be ethical, then when you ask it a question, there's a really good chance that it's going to be accurate and it's going to be ethical. However, its main goal is not to be accurate and ethical. Its main goal, its primary purpose, is to give you the next step in the image generation or the conversation or whatever transaction you're doing with it. Now, what this means is, if it can't give you an answer using the data that it has in that interconnected layer, it's going to go ahead and give you something in return. And this is why they hallucinate. So hallucinations is the industry term for when an AI crafts those dots together out of thin air just to complete the conversation or the answer or the solution or the thing it was trying to mimic, its human interaction with you. And my favorite cautionary tale for this is a lawyer who generated a legal brief solely using AI, and then he submitted that legal brief, and the judge's staff reviewed it and found that none of his precedents were real. The AI was capable of drafting a realistic sounding legal brief, and it thought, well, what should a realistic sounding legal brief have? Precedents. It didn't know any, so it just made up a few that sounded really, really good, leading to a very bad day for this guy in court. Now, why we're talking about this now also has to do with just data scale, okay? ChatGPT 2 was the last private version of GPT from OpenAI. And if we compared it to ChatGPT 3, the current model, the first public model that everybody got to play around with, then ChatGPT 2 is the moon, 3 is the Earth, and 4 might be approaching the size of the sun. So these things just keep getting larger and larger and larger and consuming more and more of the internet. And that allows them to have more accuracy, more fidelity, and since they have more dots to connect, they have less reason to hallucinate and try to lie to you. Now, interestingly, our solutions that we are working on are not chasing that particular tail. We're not trying to build an AI that knows how fast a train has to go and get a breadnet recipe and how to design a party for a 6-year-old and what's a great thing to do in Chicago on a Saturday. No, we're trying to build models that know how to create flows, write Apex, know who your consumers are, know who your customers are. So these are much, much smaller, much simpler models, which also has the advantage that we can move much faster with them. The reason why there's these huge delays between 2 and 3 and 4 when it comes to these AI models is they have to take an entire snapshot of the internet effectively. It's also why if you ask ChatGPT 4 about something that happened last year, it doesn't know. Because when it snapshot the internet, it was like 2021, and anything after that effect basically doesn't exist for it. Now, there's a lot of interesting theories about what can happen with the AI in the future, all the way from how to clean your household better to basically the Earth, death of the universe. And some of the concepts of how AI can go wrong are fascinating, and I could do a whole other session on it. But I wanted to stay positive, and what I wanted to do was show this article, or the highlights from an article that followed a small business when they adapted aggressively AI early on. And what they found was that people that were using it, particularly people who are in the front line for customers, customer support, and answering questions, they were getting their jobs done faster, and they were getting their jobs done easier, which means that they were actually more satisfied in their jobs, which meant that they had a lower turnover. So in this case, AI actually saved jobs and kept more humans at the company. Now, let's talk a little bit about prompt building, because prompt building is going to be your skill for interfacing with whatever kind of AI, large, small, generative, conversational. This is going to be the core skill for getting what you want out of the AI. And I'm going to say something right here on this stage that you are probably not going to hear anywhere else this week at Dreamforce, because I've been using AI personally, I've been using AI professionally, I've had a lot of really positive experiences with it. It has let me do my job easier. However, I will also tell you, they can be dumb. Just dumb. Like, the responses you get from them sometimes will just make your head turn. Like, really? I asked AI to give me 5 words that were 5 letters long that contained the word host. And it gave me 5 words, and the last one was host. So yes, AI can write a legal brief that has a convincing enough tone to it to trick a lawyer. It can also sometimes not count to 5. Another example, I was vacationing with my wife in North Carolina, and we had a car, we were in Blowing Rock, and we had to drive to Charlotte and drop the rental off and get up to the airport. But we had enough time, we wanted to get lunch along the way and things like that. So I asked the AI, here's all the things that I'm doing, what could we do along the way? And it said, every single tourist stop possible between Blowing Rock and Charlotte, and then ended with, you should be 2 hours early to your flight, which was not going to happen. Now, the real thing is context is king. You have to give them enough detail and enough description to guide the AI where you want to go. I've been told that being kind of like setting a stage and being the director of the show and saying what actors are going to be at play, what's the plot that you want, what's the outcome you want. So you can't just say, I need a ticket. There's not nearly enough context here. Plane ticket, bus ticket, speeding ticket, what kind of ticket? It doesn't know. It's probably at this point, if you put this into an AI, it would give you some encyclopedic version of what a ticket is. Instead, you should be like, I need a plane ticket that departs Chicago on Saturday for San Francisco. I prefer first class. I don't have any eating recommendations. I'm an aisle kind of guy, and on and on and on. Now, the nice thing is, with a conversational model, the other thing that's powerful about AI when it comes to the conversational model is that it is a very interesting human-computer interface because you can have a proper conversation with it. So you don't have to get this right the first time. You can keep expanding, you can keep adding detail. If it gets something wrong, if it can't count to 5, you can have it correct itself. And you can keep the conversation going until you get the response that you want. Now, where are we going to start seeing this in the workplace? We're going to start seeing it in a generative way. You're seeing demos this week about creating flows, about being able to create Apex. Very easy for create things like formulas and SQL queries. You can also use it for verification and validation. If you have existing formulas and SQL queries and things, and maybe they're not behaving quite the right way, or maybe 3 months after production, you finally get that one error, and you're like, hi, error. You can put the error into AI and ask it what's going on here. I've even had conversations with AI where I've had AI correct the code that AI has given me. So once again, a conversation model isn't one end road street. You can keep going. You can also use it for ideation. One of the things that AI can be very powerful at is assuming personas. And you'll see this when you look at like the email generation that we're showing you this week. It can do personas, it can do tones. And so you could say, hey, please assume the persona of a middle tier manager at an electronics company that might be interested in buying our software because I'm going to be meeting them next week. And I'd like to go through some scenarios and use cases so that I'm better prepared. There we go. A couple of examples if you want to create a really complex formula. Now, a lot of people look at this slide, and the review that they give it is they point out that there's a lot less code in the result as opposed to the actual use case. Yes, it's true. But also consider the fact that this use case is a portable piece of information. It's something that can be written out with your business partners and your business analysts, and you can kind of craft it to say exactly what you want, and then finally put it into the AI. So yes, if you knew this out of your head verbatim, it'd be faster just to go ahead and type it out, but we're skipping all of the work that went into this point of information. And let's say you're a new admin. You have a new org. You're starting out for the first time. Go ahead and ask AI, what are some good validation rules that I could put onto an opportunity record? And this example here is far, far shorter than the full result. It gives you about 9 really good examples of what you can do in an opportunity record. So training and up-leveling is something that AI can be very good at. Now your role, and this is where I think we're in a moment of time where what I want to tell people is this is the year to consider what is your relationship going to be when it comes to AI and when it comes to your workplace. Are you going to be the person who's going to be a source of truth, who's going to understand AI and be able to answer questions and be able to walk people through some of this new technology? Are you going to be the enabler who's going to keep pace with Salesforce when it comes to all the releases? Because we're not doing this all at once. There's going to be new products, there's going to be old products being updated, there's going to be new portions to an interface, there's going to be a constant stream of changes. And finally, and maybe most importantly, who's going to be the sheriff? Because once again, AI is only as good as the data underneath it. So who's going to keep that data clean? Who's going to keep that data well validated? And who's going to keep that data secure so that the data pool that everybody's using is the best possible that you have? Now, I'm not going to go through all of these. More to the point, now is the time for whatever role and scope of responsibility you have, if it's a team, if it's a department, if it's part of the company. We're at the same time in history when social media finally really became big. And you remember how all of a sudden everybody started to have these conversations about what you can and cannot do in social media that may or may not get you in trouble? This is the time to start having that conversation with AI. Because if you don't think that some of your users are using AI already, you're probably wrong. They probably are using AI. They need guidance as to some of the things that can get them in trouble. The classic example of this is I won't say the company name, but the developers who are using an AI to try to help write some of their internal proprietary code. Well, some of these models do learn through the conversations that you are having with them, and so that proprietary code then showed up in somebody else's conversation with the AI. So there's definitely pitfalls that we all want to be aware of. And finally, I want you to consider adding AI to your team. And what I mean by that is the more people are having access to various things that can generate content, they're also going to have access to generate content outside their roles. And also, what content are they creating that is going to be handed over to another team that team is probably going to use AI to generate some kind of a solution? So it's not just your admins, it's your architects, it's your developers, it's your business analysts, it's your designers. Where is AI going to be in the interconnected layer of your company and your team getting things done? So where do we go from here? We have got a wonderful new trail on Trailhead, getting started with artificial intelligence. I highly recommend it. Once again, there's a lot of great material here at Moscone West. Please check out our shiny object over there where you can see your future as an admin. We have the AI arcade of the developer, and we have an AI activation over at Moscone South. Thank you, and once again, please fill out the session feedback, go to your Dreamforce app, let us know how you thought this went, if you thought it was good, if you thought it was very good, if you thought it was excellent. I'm not shy about these things. I want your honest approach. But in all seriousness, we do need your feedback so that we can get better over time. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful Dreamforce. Thank you for watching. We would love to get your opinion on this content, so please leave us some feedback on the comments section below. If you did like this content, give that like button a tap, and of course, if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the Salesforce Admins YouTube channel. If you want to learn more about being a Salesforce admin in general, head on over to admin.salesforce.com. Thanks again.